In a storm of betrayal, survival, and razor-thin escapes, General Hospital plunges deeper into the dark, criminal underworld that threatens to shatter lives at every turn. The story takes a deadly leap forward when one of Port Charles's most insidious puppet masters, Sidwell, finds himself cornered and out of options. What began as whispers of corruption erupts into a full-fledged manhunt, forcing Jason to embrace the lethal edge of his instincts and reveal just how far he's willing to go to bring a friend home. But as the rescue of Sasha races against time, a far more explosive plot simmers just beneath the surface, one that, if successful, could end in a murder pinned squarely on Sonny Corinthos. It begins with silence, an eerie, calculated silence inside Sidwell's glass fortress of an office. Sidwell, polished and composed as always, tries to maintain the illusion of control as the door swings open, not with courtesy but with command. Two armed figures step inside. Jason moves with cold precision, followed closely by an unnamed associate. Sidwell's face twists, first in confusion, then in denial. But there is no room for games now. Sasha's life hangs in the balance, and Jason isn't here for diplomacy. At first, Sidwell clings to the act, brushing off accusations as paranoid delusions. He even dares to laugh. But Jason, with his eyes narrowed and his patience worn through by weeks of blood trails and encrypted messages, doesn't flinch. He raises his weapon, not as a bluff, but as a promise. A beat of silence falls between them, the kind that only death threats can produce. And then Sidwell cracks. Sweat beads on his forehead as he stammers the truth. Sasha is alive. She's being held in a private compound just outside the state, under the watchful eye of mercenaries who answer only to Sidwell. The revelation detonates a wave of urgency. Jason doesn't waste a second. The location is transmitted. Plans are made. Sidwell is left shaken, with no guarantee of survival. But while the immediate concern is Sasha's rescue, what Jason uncovers next shifts the entire narrative. Natalia, who had been missing from Sidwell's inner circle for weeks, was never just a pawn. She was the linchpin in Sidwell's next sinister design, a scheme not just to take down Sasha, but to frame Sonny Corinthos for cold-blooded murder. The plan was gruesome and calculated: have Natalia killed in a staged confrontation, plant fabricated evidence that would point directly to Sonny, and leak the narrative to the authorities and media all at once. With Sonny already on shaky legal ground and years of accumulated enemies waiting to see him fall, the plan would have painted him guilty before a trial ever began. What Sidwell hadn't anticipated, however, was Natalia's unexpected escape. Jason's informants had been working in the shadows, helping extract Natalia just hours before she was supposed to walk into the trap. Now, instead of being murdered in an alley or drowned in legal fiction, she's on a plane, a jet with no listed destination and a passenger manifest scrubbed from existence. Sidwell's plan has unraveled, and with Natalia still breathing, the evidence he hoped to manufacture is already dissolving into dust. As Jason leads a tactical team to the compound where Sasha is believed to be held, Natalia becomes the next key figure in dismantling Sidwell's empire. She's ready to talk, not because of vengeance, but because of survival. She knows too much and has lived too close to the fire. Once loyal out of fear, she now understands that silence only feeds the beast. On board that flight, she begins recounting names, dates, offshore accounts, and the mechanics of Sidwell's criminal network. Meanwhile, in Port Charles, Sonny senses the tremor before the earthquake. Word reaches him that his name was about to be dragged into yet another media storm. He hears the first whisper of a murder plot he knew nothing about, and it sends his instincts flaring. He's been through too many wars to dismiss this as coincidence. And when he learns that Natalia was the target and that Jason was the one who intervened, again, the unspoken bond between the two men tightens. Back at the compound, the rescue is not clean. Sasha is found locked in a cell beneath the main estate, drugged but alive. Jason carries her out while his team disables security systems and takes down the guards one by one. It's a brutal operation, but successful. Sasha is airlifted to a secure facility under assumed identity, her recovery uncertain but her life no longer in danger. With Sasha safe and Natalia beginning to expose the inner workings of the conspiracy, Jason returns to Sidwell. This time, there is no gun, no threats, just consequences. Jason doesn't speak. Sidwell knows he's finished. Investigators are already picking apart shell companies. Natalia's testimony will trigger warrants in multiple jurisdictions. And Sasha, if she survives the trauma, will tell her story to the world. There will be no spin, no escape, no plausible deniability left. The fallout spreads like wildfire. Political figures previously shielded by Sidwell's influence scramble to erase connections. Corporate partners dissolve overnight. And the legal community braces for a reckoning that could implicate judges, prosecutors, and even law enforcement. Sonny, though initially shaken by how close he came to being framed, regains his footing and uses the moment to quietly eliminate anyone still loyal to Sidwell. Yet this story doesn't end with Sidwell's empire crumbling. It ends with Jason standing alone in the darkness outside Sidwell's office, watching the city lights flicker below. He's not a hero, not in the traditional sense. But in this war of shadows, he's the only one who never flinched. He walked into the fire to bring Sasha home. He derailed a murder plot before the trigger could be pulled. And he reminded Sidwell, and anyone else watching, that there are some lines even the most powerful cannot cross without consequence. Port Charles remains a city of masks and motives. Sidwell's downfall may offer a momentary breath of peace, but Jason knows better than to believe in permanence. The machine may be broken, but the players are still out there, recalculating, realigning, and waiting. And as long as they are, so is he. Not out of duty. Not for revenge. But because someone has to stand in the silence when the system screams. And someone has to act when the truth threatens to vanish forever.